She admitted, "I married you out of convenience, so I walked away and found a woman who truly valued me." It was a cold and rainy evening when the words that would change everything fell from her lips. I had always known there was something missing in our relationship, but I never imagined it would come to this. Sarah and I had been married for 3 years, and while there were moments of happiness, the weight of indifference between us had been growing heavier with each passing day. It wasn't that we didn't care for each other, but the connection we once had seemed to have faded away, replaced by routine, obligations, and a sense of complacency. I had always tried to make her feel loved and appreciated. I thought that by being the stable, reliable husband, I was doing the right thing. But lately, I had started to feel like an afterthought. There was no passion, no excitement, and the emotional distance was palpable. Every time I tried to talk to her about it, she would deflect, making excuses and putting up walls. Then, that night, everything came to a head. We had been sitting at the dinner table silently picking at our food. The tension was suffocating, and I couldn't take it any longer. I looked up at her, waiting for her to meet my gaze. "Sarah, what's going on?" I asked softly, my voice tinged with frustration. "It's like you've checked out. What happened to us?" She set her fork down and looked at me, her expression unreadable. For a moment she seemed hesitant, as though deciding whether or not to say something that would shatter everything. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I married you because I had no better options." The words hit me like a freight train, and for a moment, I couldn't process them. "What do you mean by that?" I asked, struggling to keep my composure. "I mean exactly what I said," she replied, her tone matter-of-fact. "I wasn't in love with you. I married you because you were stable, dependable, and you offered a comfortable life. You're a good man. But I wasn't really in love. I just didn't know how to make a better choice." I felt as though the ground had been ripped out from under me. For years I had been giving my all, believing that we were building a life together, and here she was, telling me she had never truly wanted to be with me. It was a devastating revelation, and my heart sank. I tried to hide the pain, but it was impossible. You never loved me?" I asked, barely able to speak the words. She avoided my eyes, nodding slowly. "I'm sorry. I thought I could make it work, but I was just going through the motions. I didn't want to hurt you." The room felt like it was closing in on me. Everything I had built with her, everything I had worked so hard for, suddenly seemed meaningless. She had never really chosen me, and the worst part was that I had given everything to a relationship that wasn't based on true love. That night, I didn't say much more. I just stood up, grabbed my jacket, and walked out the door. I needed time to think. I didn't know what my future held, but I knew one thing. I couldn't stay in a relationship where I wasn't valued. I had given so much of myself, and to realize that she had married me out of convenience was a betrayal I couldn't ignore. The next few days were a blur of pain and confusion, but in the back of my mind, a part of me began to wonder, could I find something better? Could I find someone who truly appreciated me? Someone who valued me for who I was? And so, I made the decision to leave. The woman I thought I had married wasn't the woman I had hoped for. I needed to find someone who would make me feel seen and loved for all the right reasons. It was time to start over. Leaving Sarah was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but it was also the most freeing. The weight of her words lingered in my mind, but as the days went on, I started to feel a sense of relief. It was clear to me now that our relationship had been built on an illusion, and I was no longer willing to live a life based on convenience. I needed to rediscover what it felt like to be loved for who I truly was, not because I was the safe choice. In the months that followed, I focused on myself. I took up new hobbies, spent time with friends, and started to heal from the emotional scars that Sarah had left behind. It wasn't easy. There were nights when loneliness crept in, and I found myself questioning my worth. There were times when I felt like I was not enough, and that perhaps love and happiness were something I could never have. But through all of it, I reminded myself that I deserved more. I wasn't someone's backup plan. I wasn't someone to settle for. I wanted to be loved fiercely, passionately, and with genuine affection. One evening, I met someone who would change everything. Her name was Olivia, and from the moment we started talking, I felt a connection I hadn't felt in years. We clicked instantly, and she made me laugh in a way that felt effortless. She was kind, intelligent, and attentive. The way she listened to me, really listened, made me feel seen, something I hadn't felt in such a long time. As we got to know each other better, I could sense her genuine interest in me, not just as a person, but as a partner. She didn't see me as someone to settle for. She saw me as someone worth cherishing. She didn't just love me, she respected me. The more we spent time together, the more I realized how different this felt from anything I had experienced before. For the first time in a long time, I felt appreciated. Olivia made me feel valued for who I was, without needing to prove anything. She would encourage me to pursue my passions, challenge me to be a better man, and support me without hesitation. Her belief in me was unwavering, and it gave me a sense of confidence I had lost over the years. Olivia and I spent hours talking about our dreams, our fears, and our pasts. She listened to me in a way that made me feel seen and valued. There were no games, no pretenses. What she saw was the real me, and she liked me for it. Unlike Sarah, Olivia didn't just accept me for who I was. She actively encouraged me to be the best version of myself. She made me feel like I mattered, not just in the moment, but in every moment we shared together. The contrast between the two relationships was like night and day. With Sarah, I had felt like I was constantly giving, always trying to prove my worth. It was like I was a tool to help her reach her own comfort and security, but she never made the effort to make me feel special. It was all about what I could do for her, but with Olivia, it was a partnership built on mutual respect, admiration, and love. There was no competition, no need to prove ourselves to each other. We just were, and that was enough. Eventually, I knew I was ready to take the next step with her. I wanted to build a future with someone who truly valued me, who appreciated my love, and who wouldn't take me for granted. I had found that person in Olivia. Looking back, I don't regret leaving Sarah. I may have been devastated at the time, but now I see it as the turning point that led me to a love that was real and fulfilling. The pain was temporary, but the happiness I found with Olivia was worth every moment of heartache. I realized that while the end of my marriage had been painful, it was also a necessary step in order for me to grow into a better version of myself. In the end, I discovered that sometimes walking away from the wrong person is the only way to make space for the right one. Love is about growth, mutual respect, and being able to support one another without hesitation. When I was with Sarah, I felt like I was constantly fighting to be heard and seen. But with Olivia, everything felt effortless. She wasn't just my partner, she was my equal. And together, we were building something strong, something real. I learned that sometimes you have to let go of what's familiar to allow room for something far better. And with Olivia, I had found that better. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more watching videos.